Picture a Boeing 737 descending rapidly toward an island runway. But instead of a sealed cabin, 35 square meters of the roof are completely missing. The pilots are fighting multiple cascading failures. The left engine is completely dead, and without the roof to hold the frame together, the front nose of the plane is drooping so heavily that it threatens to snap the entire aircraft in half the moment the wheels hit the tarmac. Back in the open cabin, the passengers are enduring absolute agony. They boarded a 35-minute island hop in shorts and t-shirts. Now, at 24,000 feet, they are being blasted by 500-kilometer-per-hour winds and freezing in negative 45-degree temperatures. Yet, against all aerodynamic logic, the flight crew manages to bring the crippled plane down. They touch down safely in Maui, and 94 of the 95 people on board survive. Looking at the aftermath, exactly one piece of technology kept these passengers from being violently pulled into the open sky: their fastened seatbelts. Which leaves us with a terrifying question. How does a well-maintained, highly regulated passenger jet simply lose its roof in the middle of a clear, sunny afternoon? The answer starts with Aloha Airlines route map. They specialized in extremely short Hawaiian island hops. Because the flights were only about half an hour long, these specific planes performed a massive number of takeoffs and landings every single day. This frequency matters because of how planes are pressurized. When climbing into the thin atmosphere, it pumps air into the cabin so passengers can breathe. This diagram shows what happens. Like a balloon, the aluminum fuselage actually bows slightly outward under internal pressure. Then, when the plane lands, it relieves that pressure. The metal shell relaxes and shrinks back down to its resting circular shape. Every time a plane inflates and deflates, it completes one flight cycle. By the time Aloha Airlines Flight 243 took off on April 28th, it had endured nearly 90,000 of these cycles. The manufacturer, Boeing, engineered this specific 737 model to withstand a maximum of only 75,000 flight cycles over its entire lifetime. Pushing the aircraft 15,000 cycles past its design limit had a severe physical consequence. The constant expanding and contracting tired out the aluminum, creating microscopic metal fatigue all over the plane's body. We see the breaking point clearly when we look closely at how the plane is manufactured. The fuselage's aluminum panels overlap to form a lap joint. Boeing used cold bonding epoxy glue between layers, locked with 3 rows of metal rivets. Over years in Hawaii's humid environment, this glue dissolved, transferring the immense cabin pressure stress entirely onto the thin rivets. Without the glue to distribute the tension, the metal pins dug into the aluminum. Tiny, completely invisible fractures began creeping outward from the edges of the rivet holes. 20 minutes after takeoff, Flight 243 hit its cruising altitude. The internal pressure reached its absolute peak, and those thousands of microscopic fractures instantly connected, ripping down the line of rivets exactly like a zipper. Boeing had built-in fail-safes called tear straps, metal bands designed to catch a tear and limit holes to a small 10 by 10-inch square. But the sheer density of these connecting cracks overwhelmed the straps entirely. The epoxy was gone, the tear straps failed. In a fraction of a second, the upper cabin's structural integrity vanished, allowing 35 square meters of roof to be violently ripped into the sky. When the National Transportation Safety Board wrapped up its investigation, it uncovered a dangerous level of complacency. Both Aloha Airlines and the Federal Aviation Administration had drastically underestimated the maintenance required to keep older aircraft flying safely. Mechanics were tasked with finding these fractures by looking closely at the outside of the plane. They relied exclusively on the human eye to spot microscopic stress cracks hidden underneath layers of paint and overlapping metal. To solve this massive blind spot, the aviation industry mandated a new, high-tech process called eddy current testing. As this visualization shows, an electrical current is passed directly through solid metal components, immediately illuminating jagged, hidden fractures deep inside the material long before they can become a hazard. The United States government followed up by passing the Aviation Safety Research Act of 1988, imposing strict new inspection and retirement rules specifically targeting high-cycle aircraft. Because the crew managed to land a plane that should have broken apart, they bought investigators the physical evidence they needed. Flight 243 exposed invisible engineering flaws that the entire industry had ignored, forcing an evolution in global safety standards. to ensure no commercial flight would ever lose its roof in midair again.